Yeah, so thanks everyone for coming to the annual salary survey, Colorado Salary Survey for Salesforce Professionals results readout. And we've been doing this as part of the admin and dev group collaboration for the past couple of years. So this is kind of a fun, collaborative project that we have together. For those of you I've never met, I am Lauren LaMonte. I am one of the Denver developer user group leaders. So I'm a Salesforce developer and I work for a company called Atlassian. And yeah, and then Chris, you want to introduce yourself? Huh?
Hello, I'm one of the leaders of the, you said you were the admin and switched to dev?
I did not mention that.
She abandoned us for a better fit because she's a dev. So I actually kicked her out. I was like, we got a group for that. Go figure it out. I did not kick her out. But yeah, so she's one of the leaders of the dev group. I'm one of the leaders of the admin group and work as a Salesforce systems analyst in Salesforce at a startup with an office across the street, but also out of Palo Alto. So yeah, we're excited. I think if you guys have been to any of the events we've done recently, we've talked about the salary survey, how important it is, and just how amazing it is to keep track since 2012, 2013.
I think, 2013
yeah.
was the first.
I was actually, there was someone who posted in another channel on one of the Slack Workspaces, Boston, I think, group, and he has a folder that tracks everybody's all over the country, and he was real stoked that we gave him access to so many years of data. So we really are the forefront of this endeavor, and every time you submit that information to us, it helps us put these numbers together so that all of us can collectively see where we're going, how we're going to get there, and then what the future might look like. So yeah,
cool,
exciting.
Cool. All right. So first, a huge thank you to Slalom Denver for hosting our event tonight. This is a beautiful space, and it's just been, I didn't coordinate the logistics here, so thanks very much also to the admin group for doing that. And we really appreciate the space and the time and effort that everyone put into this.
We have a Slack workspace that we have, that Mile High Dreamin is for Mile High Dreamin, but it's also, we're kind of putting the communities in there as well, because that gives us a little more freedom, and it's a professional version, so we don't lose our stuff after 90 days, which is nice. So feel free to join this workspace and join the conversation. If you're in our mentee mentor group already, then you should be in the Slack channel, or the Slack workspace, and that's where we're starting to chat things up as we move closer to Mile High Dreamin' this year. That's going to be kind of our source of truth for a lot of the details and announcements, and then hopefully get some interactions going with the attendees. Question in the front.
So does that replace the other Slack channel?
It's going to, because that one just has some difficulties with us being able to do things with it, because none of us here built it, and we don't quite know how to get it to where we want it. So, and the fact that Mile High Dreamin' will be able to pay for a professional version, so we can have that history in there, which is real nice. And then, so join that Slack channel, join the conversation, and if you have ideas, let us know. We'd love to incorporate them and see this community group grow. I mean, obviously, in the past, we've wanted to kick off Salesforce Saturdays, so if you're interested in getting that started, or maybe do some ski trips, or any number of things, we got options, so.
Very cool. All right, so now let's get into some data. 2023 Colorado Salary Survey results. So we're looking over the results from last year that we've received from members of the community. First, a special thanks to all of you for completing the survey. Those of you who have, and those of you who are here to learn about it as well, and contributing your information. As Chris said, it really helps kind of ground, I guess I'll use that word. It helps us ground ourselves, at least locally, and kind of help us understand whether or not we're at a competitive rate. And I've heard that some people use it to kind of push for raises and promotions, so I hope that that is the case and that you guys can use it to your benefit. Cool. Survey. So first goes through the survey overview, high-level results, year-over-year trends, and then Chris will do experience in education, certifications, and then I'll do the gender and salary, and then just quick additional resources. I should move that last one up so that we don't have that awkward switch, but for next year. Cool. High-level results first. So this year we had 164, I'll say, usable responses. So that is a great number in my mind. The vast majority our administrators at 68 respondents, and then the next highest would be a consultant, which kind of covers a lot of bases and is a very interesting position in general. And then we have, let's see how many, we have 12 developers, so not too many of us, but definitely more than executives or marketing managers. So this is kind of the lay of the land with the high level roles. Of the work from home, hybrid, or office, this one's interesting because this one has obviously changed a ton since we've gone through the COVID pandemic, and now we have the vast majority of people who are working from home full time, which just kind of changes the landscape in a lot of different ways, and is fascinating because this was definitely flipped, 3 or 4 years ago. For benefits counts, we see gratefully that there are most of our respondents have quite a bit of benefits that are offered to them, and I believe that, so on average, from the benefits that we include in the list, we have an average of almost 9 non-salaried benefits per respondent. And then here we get to kind of the high numbers, or the high level numbers of across the respondents. So the average base salary in Colorado across all of the different roles and respondents is about $124,000. And then the base salary plus bonus is $130,000. We'll go through how this compares to last year and other previous years in a few slides, but these are just kind of those first high level numbers. So when I look at the admin salary, it makes me very pleased because when I was an admin 7 years ago, I did not make nearly that salary, and I'm really glad that that role has at least on average, it is a very valuable and challenging role, and it deserves a high pay. So I'm happy to see that one rise. And then we see the highest one would be architect, which is kind of not surprising to me. So that's 173, a bit more than 173,000. But yeah, you can take a look at these ones in depth. Any questions or call outs or anything so far? Okay. Cool, so then for non-salary benefits, as I said in a previous slide, that on average, our respondents had about 9 non-salary benefits. The most commonly, these are in order of most commonly reported. So first I'll note that 2% of the respondents selected none of the above. So that's obviously a very small percentage. So luckily it looks like we are having a lot of benefits that are trying to keep these positions competitive. So paid time off is the top one, working from home. We included this one because it was one that had been people kept writing it in, so wanted to definitely capture that. 401k matching, partial paid health insurance, flexible work hours, and then we'll see at the bottom, at 13%, we have donation matching programs. So we see on here there are just a lot of benefits that are offered to respondents. Also, I'll point out that like casual office dress is kind of a funny one to me, but people kept also writing that one in, so I wanted to capture it so it was more of like a reportable thing that wasn't, or a reportable item that wasn't just like written in by a few people. But yeah, 36%. Year over year trends. So now we're gonna see kind of how we map towards the this year comparatively to the beginning of this Colorado salary survey. So the way to read this is we have total responses at the top, so it's across all. This is the response rate. Yeah, sorry, got confused a sec. And then we have customers and partners, and then nonprofit. Those those 3 rows on the bottom don't add up together, but this is its own kind of percentage. But we see that the vast majority of our respondents are Salesforce customers, and then at 112 respondents, and that is up 9% since last year. We had 48 Salesforce partners, and that's actually down 21%. And if you look in these notes, which is actually getting longer and longer every year, so I might just make it its own slide next year, but we had 8 vendors and 40 consulting partners, which is just an interesting breakdown. And then our nonprofit numbers went down by just 1 respondent. As far as average salary plus bonus, it is really interesting to see 2013 compared to 2023, because now we're looking at 10 years of where we've gone since 2013, where we've come since 2013, and we are technically, so it obviously started at 85,000, and now we're up to an average of about 130. But we did slightly dip since last year. This data is has a lot of nuances. It's not necessarily the most. It's not data that we can really find a lot of correlations and causations just because of the sample size and all of that. But it is interesting to see that we have gone down a little bit, and we can get into why in a minute. But we're still kind of hovering at 130, which is still up quite a bit from 2021. And then here we have the min, mean, and max. So the min base salary reported this year was 60K. Last year it was 47, so that has gone up 28%. The mean has, we saw, just kind of around the same. And these are the base salary without the bonuses added. And then we see our max base salary has jumped quite a bit as well. And then if we look into this a bit deeper, we see in terms of bonus, so this is year-over-year base salary plus bonus. The average bonus has raised quite a bit. So if you look in here, so 2022 was about 7K, and now it's this past year it was 13K. So that went up quite a bit. But once we go into the nonprofit versus for-profit comparisons, we see where that disparity kind of comes from. Okay, so then this is the min, mean, max bonus. Basically, the mean bonus has gone down a little bit has gone down about 2K since last year. And then the max bonus was very high. There was a pretty big outlier last year, and we see that discrepancy as well. Pretty obvious. This person retired, so. Okay, and then when we look at for-profit versus nonprofit, we see the average salary plus bonus has actually gone up in the for-profit respondents by 4% since last year. And then unfortunately has gone down from the nonprofit respondents. And then we see the actual disparity between the two is also larger, but not quite as large as 2021. We also see that the bonuses for nonprofits have gone down a bit. Well, I guess both have gone down quite a bit since last year. Also, only 3 respondents, fewer respondents reported a bonus as well. Cool, so experience in education. I'm gonna hand it to Chris. All right.
Before I get started, I just want to call out the person who does all this work every year, and she's right here. So can we just give Lauren a hand clap, because it's no small amount of work. So thank you so much for continuing to keep our data. I mean, I know it kind of scratches a data itch for you, but because she's a developer. But yeah, I'm super grateful that you've taken this on and keep it going. Yeah. And it's information that we all need and love to see. A salary survey for California. That is a great idea. Someone should reach out to the California user group and see if anyone is organizing that. And if not, Does someone say there is?
I think there's at least one for San Francisco. I don't know if it's just city
Is
specific.
Janine in charge of that? Do you know?
Is who?
Janine Marquette, is that her name? I think she's in charge of the San Francisco user group. I know that, and so you can find her on Trailblazer, Janine Marquette, and she's actually the person I got the mentee mentor idea from because she's awesome. So check in with her, and if not, she'll know who to point you to. I know Mason Frank also does one that's kind of larger, but in order to get that, you got to give them your info. So, which I guess isn't bad anymore because people need jobs now. So, give Mason Frank your info. All right. Let's see. So yeah, now let's kick off experience and education, which is always my favorite piece of this because my favorite thing about Salesforce is you don't have to go to school to learn Salesforce, and you can learn Salesforce for free. And so for like a max contribution of $200, you can get certified, and then you can hopefully, the catch-22 is once you're certified getting that first gig, and that's what we're all here to try to help you overcome. But once you're in, and that's why I like Salesforce. So people that are looking for what to do next, I always encourage them to just give it a whirl, check it out, see if you like it, and if you do, it's free. This is my favorite thing, and for a long time, something was happening after 9 years, and it looks like that is now getting down to 7 to 9 years. So you can kind of see what happens as a junior Salesforce person. You get in here, you get your first gig, and you're like, dang, I'm getting paid. And then you come to a salary survey event, and you're like, oh, I got room. So you've got goals now, life goals, #life goals. So this is where I started, was up here somewhere. And then I saw this, and I was like, I need to get paid more. And they were like, eh. And then they gave me a little bit more, and then I used this to go get what I wanted somewhere else. And so I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just saying it worked for me. And ever since then, I've been working to climb the charts here. So 1 to 3 years, you're looking at just under, and I really feel like that's, well, I don't know how the world is changing, but it's like a year or so, year and a half or so, usually you can bump up into the first six-figure role if you can find the experience, and then you find like kind of the person. It's really about who you know, which is also why we're in the room, who's hiring, who needs a job. We want to connect people with people who know people so that you're not just one of 400 applications, which is what I recently experienced trying to hire a mentee. It was like 400 people applied. I already know who I want, but I'm still going to interview those people, and it made me feel bad. So that's just a me thing. 4 to 6 years, you're up in the six-figure range, 117 to 122. 39 people were in that range. We had, 39 people for 4 to 6 and 7 to 9. So 7 to 9 years is kind of your sweet spot in terms of really cranking value you bring and what you should be asking for from your employer. And generally, my experience has been that's always from vertical moves. You're not going to be an employer that's like, hey, you're doing good, let's give you more money for working in Salesforce. It's more like, hey, this person's going to give me 30% more for working for them in Salesforce. And so you part on good terms, hopefully, and then increase your net worth. So yeah, move over to 7 to 9, and that's, again, where we were just talking. We're talking 7 to 9. And then 10 to 13 is where things kind of fell off a cliff last time, or for the last few years. But now that there's been a few years, there are people at 14 years plus. So I feel like once you hit a decade, you need to consider your life goals and just decide if you're happy here, that's probably what you can expect for a while. Or maybe some people start their own company, they retire with that $170,000 bonus, or whatever it is. I feel like that you get 10 years of growth, and then you pick what you want to do. Maybe you go for an architect, or maybe you spin off as a consultant, or maybe you get into what was that guy? The guy that did the report meeting with us, David Carnes. Yeah, he's fantastic. He sold his company. Now he just tours user groups, giving talks, and he was in Cairo for Cairo Dreamin. I think we'll have him at Mile High Dreamin this year, and he's just a fantastic dude. So get rich, bro down. Or cash out, bro down, and then spread your knowledge to the community and give back. It's a great plan. That's my plan. So yeah, it's just always my favorite slide, because now I'm like, so really 10 to 13 years, I might get, what is that, $100? I don't know, if I've been in it for 15 years. But again, this is based on our sample size, and it's just really good information to kind of know. And we are kind of seeing a top right now in terms of what people are paying, which is disappointing because we had that growth. It seems like things went down 2019, 2020, and then they're like, oh, we need people. And so then 21, 22, and 23 is kind of here. Hopefully we get another bump up, and so we'll see what happens. All right. Now this is also great. for another reason, the reason I stated before is you don't have to go to college to make money in Salesforce. You should go to college if you have, a reason to go there and you want the experience and you can afford it and you're not getting in debt. But so some college is really just right on par with a lot of the other ranges because thankfully we're going more experience based than we are like prerequisite based nowadays. There are still some jobs you see on LinkedIn. They're like must have this, and you're like, well, why? But no one's asking that question. So yeah, bachelor's degrees doing well, graduate degrees are fine, but some college, perfectly acceptable. Associate's degree probably was like, yeah. I mean, I feel like associate's degree is some college too, but I guess some college means you didn't actually get to the 2-year mark or something, or it's just whatever it is, I'm not sure. But it isn't required. So yeah, look at the developers. I mean, obviously, a developer, I feel like if you have a computer science background, that's fine. But it's also like, how much do you want to learn and how eager are you to learn it? Because you can dive right in, learn your language and run with it, and then you can be cranking. And then you also, I feel like sometimes people who don't go through the official channels are a little hungrier occasionally because they know they kind of have that thing over them that I didn't go to college, I got to work harder. But that's just subjective.
Yeah, I think we should add, looking at this, I'm thinking we should add a question next year whether or not people studied the fields that they're currently working.
That is fantastic.
I have a college degree in psychology, and I'm a developer, so.
Which is why she's phrasing things very carefully to see your responses. Mine's marketing.
Yeah.
So that's actually a really good note for next year is, are you doing what you went to school for? Because it's probably like 10% or more or less.
I'd be really curious.
Like I do feel, developers specifically would benefit the most, I think, from having that.
Okay, raise your hand. Are you doing what you went to college for?
Hey, we got 3. Wait, I want to drill in. What did you go to college for?
Dentist. I'm a dentist.
You're a dentist?
Yeah. And I'm doing it now, but I've done that for 22 years. I'm ready for Salesforce.
Wait. Oh, you're pivoting into Salesforce. That's fantastic. From dentistry.
Yeah.
You get a high five. Bring it in, lady. No. Who else? There's 3 people.
It's hospitality and travel.
Okay. And are you working in Salesforce or pivoting into Salesforce?
I'm already in sales.
You're in Salesforce in a hospitality and travel industry.
Correct.
Man, that's a marriage. That's a good marriage, right? Because you know the one half. You know what needs to happen. Now you know how to get it done. That's fantastic. And our third?
Information systems and accounting.
Oh, come on now. She was like, I'm gonna know what I want to do when I'm done. That is fantastic. And now you're in.
I'm an architect now.
Yeah. So you are the poster child for going to college still. And it's a very valuable. I mean, if you know what you want to do, by all means. Like my neighbor Kyle went to school for network engineering and is a network engineer. I was like, all right. I mean, he's 29 and makes a lot more than a lot of people I know, including me. That goes to show, like, there's no wrong path when it comes to Salesforce. Whether you go to school for the thing and then do the thing, or you went to school to be a dentist and 22 years later, you're like, that's a real narrow thing to work in every day. I'm going to expand my horizons. There's no wrong way to get in. That's fantastic. And then high school diploma, I liked on the manager and executive roles that was the only one that said that was all they had.
Those ones are grouped together because the sample sizes were small, so yeah.
I mean, it's still cool though. All right, certifications. So this is a hot button issue in that certifications are very valuable until everyone has them. And then it's like you go to experience at that point. So I do think certifications are valuable, especially the first one. If you're an admin, get your admin cert. Like there's no, I don't see a logical reason not to have that in order to start your journey, because that's pretty much where everyone starts. If you're a developer, you should probably get a developer cert, or is that, what do you think?
I mean, my personal opinion is like, whatever your entry point is, right? For me, I got a dev, and whatever makes you more like comfortable. Like I was an admin, I got a dev cert because it then enabled me, like my manager was uncomfortable with me learning and coding in our org. But I also think like experience is, I know a lot of really good developers who don't have any certifications. So I think it's a personal thing, but it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, and I would say a couple of the most talented devs I know also no certifications, but it's not like they started being that talented, so they had to work really hard, I think, to overcome some stigmas initially of getting that cert. I know certification is very important if you are a consultant, Like I'm hopefully Slalom has like some kind of program to give you a little bonus, a little kickback if you get certs, and I think it's totally valid because that helps the company raise their ranks with Salesforce. So if you're in a role as a consultant, ask about the bonus part though. Don't just go get those certs for free. Get paid. But as everyone else, like definitely get your admin cert if that's where you're starting. But don't worry so much about the certs as much about the experience. Find those ways to get those experience things so that when you put that on your LinkedIn, you can talk about it and say, not only did I put that on LinkedIn, here's what I did, and here's how it worked, and here's what didn't work, and here's my experience doing that thing that I told you about. Because I do know there are ways to pass certs that aren't super legal and don't really help anyone because you might got the cert, but you don't know what you're doing. All right.
Add on to that point, you're spot on. For Slalom local Denver CRM, we reward our consultants up to $300 a year for certification. So
There you go.
so that's a little added to the
Do you put them in a cash booth where it spins around them and they grab it? Because that's not a bad idea. All right. So here are the Salesforce certificate paths. Is this updated from last year? They created a new one, and it's not getting less confusing. So obviously you can do yellow or blue. There's purple. There's fuchsia, and then there's teal. Obviously blue looks like it's a bigger piece of the pie. It's like admin. You're kind of there in an L shape. If it was Tetris, then AI associate doesn't really have anywhere to go. Core experience, user experience designer, and strategy. I don't know why I'm looking at that one. Oh, because this one's real small. Let's see. Education cloud, looks like there's a lot on that side of things. So there's definitely no shortage of things you can move into and expand your knowledge, and there's nothing wrong with that, I would say. So I think Salesforce was seeing where the certificates were going, and they started creating these easier to access, no-cost versions of kind of assembling all these trail mixes into something that's going to kind of give people a real-world example, building out a demo, and kind of like really going through the back end and the nuts and bolts of how do you build these things so that when you get through one of these super badges, you really understand the core concepts. And I think I might have done the first one. If Lightning Rollout, Lightning Specialist, I was like a Lightning Champion in 2018. I think that was a whole new program back then. And that was kind of one of the first super badges they had, I think. And that, I mean, I'm still all in on Lightning, but obviously what else are you gonna do? But it did give me a good foothold into the Salesforce experience because I was brand new, newly certified admin, and I was working through that and then took that super badge, and it really does cement. Because one of the hardest parts of getting into Salesforce is understanding the language, what the terms mean, and then also what things actually do, like record types versus page layouts and just little things like that. And that's the basic stuff. Then you get into real complicated things. So super badges are definitely a great way to dig in for someone who wants to prove to themselves that they know what they're doing and wants to really get that experience if they don't have access to an org. And it also, I'm sure it looks good on LinkedIn. I'm not sure how many people in the hiring world are looking at super badges versus certificates, but it probably makes sense for consultants to pay people to get super badges. I'm just saying someone had that idea recently, and I think someone should expand on it. Yes?
I would just add, that was a great explanation, but a lot of people don't understand that super badges are credentials, just like certifications, just they're free. So like Chris said, they're a great way to get that hands-on experience. They're a great way to prepare for certifications, but they're also credentials in and of themselves. Also, to your point, they're not as well known as certifications, but that's changing. Thanks in part to the way the community is viewing them, and more people are doing them and recognizing the value in them. Hiring managers are also doing more of them and recognizing the value. So that's changing, and it's all about the way that you talk about them and present them on your resume and in interviews. So happy to chat about that. Anybody has questions?
Definitely talk to Kelly, because I also think that the point of the super badge is you can talk through what you built and what you did versus a cert where I did 90 questions or 90 minutes, and some of them were real hard. But in the with a super badge, you're like, I built this thing, and this is why it was difficult. This is where I got stuck, things like that. So it gives you like talking points in an interview so that people understand the technical aspects of what you know. So the point is, certs are great. Experience is always the winner, and I think functionally, super badges give you more experience than a cert. So props to the Trailhead team. And then, here's the counts. Obviously, this administrator cert, 85% of respondents had that, because I do feel like that's kind of a non-starter. You really need that in order to launch your career, just because it introduces you to what Salesforce platform can do and what it is and what the names mean and what all language is about. And then once you kind of have that cert, you can kind of go into an org and figure some things out. After that, platform app builder, advanced admin, then get into consultant, sales cloud, service cloud, analyst, platform dev, associate, all the way down to Tableau CRM. Pretty sure that's named something else now, isn't it? CRMA. There you go. They were missing an acronym letter. And Einstein Discovery Consultant. Is it really Einstein Discovery Consultant anymore? It's the same one as Tab CRMA. Oh, they're combined. So yeah, it is. One day we should play a bingo where we talk about all the names that Salesforce has used over the years. So, Christine, I think we have an idea for an event. Salesforce name bingo. Yeah. So yeah, all these certifications are fantastic. We have 39. There's 48. How many did we grow by? How many did Salesforce launch last year? Yeah.
Also acquisitions too, like
Yeah.
Tableau, for example, and some of the marketing ones.
Has anybody worked in Tableau? It is not the same as Salesforce. You're like, what? It's like going into Marketo. You're like, this is kind of old looking. I don't understand why this is cool. But it gets you good data when you need it. So, all right. I think that is everything. So, yeah, 39 of 48 possible certs. Colorado is representing really well in the ecosystem. And I think that's because we have great companies that hire people and encourage them to continue their growth. And we are a tech hub. I always say that, and that's why I want these community groups to continue to grow and Mile High Dreamin' to be awesome, because we already are awesome, and we just want to represent that to the rest of the country and the rest of the world to say, hey, Denver is a tech hub, and we're here, and we're doing cool stuff. Oh, wait. I got another slide, but I appreciate the woo. I don't know what other is. Is that just people who...
Selected other.
Okay, so... yeah. Somebody got a lot, and their role is ambiguous. But yeah, obviously, architect makes sense to have kind of more than the rest of the crew there. Consultant is respectable as well, because you kind of are encouraged to have those. Devs make sense. Executive roles and managers, I'm assuming those are people who had come from an admin or a dev position, then got into management, and they became an executive. I don't otherwise know. I mean, I would totally give mad respect to executives who just go get certs, but I don't imagine that's really your priority when you have people to manage. But yeah, admins 2.1, again, it's more about experience than it is about racking up those certificates. Certificates? Certs? Certifications, that's what it is. I think of those little breath mints too, certs. Those are fun. But yeah, so again, it's great to have. These are very important when you're getting started, but focus on your experience, find that experience, and then talk about it.
We should track Trailhead Rangers too.
Oh yeah, Trailhead Ranger. I think I was at TDX last year, and they were like talking about Ranger status, and I just got on the app on the phone and popped through about 20, 30, and got to that Ranger 3. Yeah, it goes to 5, right, and then it's All-Star.
Yeah.
All right, just real quick, how many one-star rangers? Raise your hand.
Wow.
2-star? 3.
Hey, that's right.
4?
Ooh,
Top of the top, super.
All-Star. No wonder you brought it up. Yeah. Leave it to the architect. All right. Oh, here's the average salary plus bonus by number of certs. And obviously, everything I said was completely incorrect. You need to have 7 certs in order to make that bank. So everybody should probably just get to work right now. Pick your path and get to that magic number, because that's insane. Good for that person or people. I'm assuming it was a person. Seems like an outlier to me. But, so, what's that? On the screen? Oh, $257,000 for having 7 certs? Yeah, maybe they're going to retire next week. But you can see, like, there's a significant bump from having nothing to having that 1, and then it gets a little bit higher once you get up to 6, it looks like, and then obviously 10 plus. Aren't as good as 7. So if you got 10, just let a few expire. Get you down to that magic number. So yeah, and that is education and certification.
Just one more thing about not surveys, about certifications that I will say is I am I call myself intentional admin. So I basically started studying. I got into this career by starting to study for the admin cert in my free time when I was working in research and wanting to switch careers, and it really helped me. I know land a lot of interviews and also feel confident and also feel that I knew the content well and I could do it. So I think from a personal level, and then also for a lot of hiring managers, and also if you're switching careers, it can be an awesome way to really just get your foot in the door. Cool. Okay, so now I will talk about gender and salary findings. So here we have a breakdown of average salary plus bonus in the light blue, average base salary in the dark blue. We had a very small sample size of gender pronouns they, them, so that we grouped in an effort to protect anonymity, we grouped that category with prefer not to say, so that's why those are grouped together. But if we look here across, we'll see that on average, the respondents who selected he, him, 70 of them, had an average base salary of $133 and then average base salary plus bonus of $140. She, her had average of $117 with bonus and $112 average base salary. And when I was looking at this data, it was interesting because obviously it's a small sample size and all of that, all of those caveats. But the bonuses the average bonus was lower for the she, her category, not only in amount, but also in number of respondents who had received a bonus. I think, we can speculate about that, but also it kind of lights a little fire for me where I'm like, I got to ask for a bonus this year because I feel like maybe my male counterpart is and I'm not, or I don't know. That might be part of it.
Lauren, yes, that is what's happening.
You think that's what's happening?
Yes.
Depends on where they work.
Depends on where they work too, yeah, and depends on the company culture. It depends on a lot of things, and this isn't cut and dry, right? But there's definitely a discrepancy there, and also we're looking at he, him has 70 respondents, and she, her has 86, so maybe there's something to do with that as well. But anyway, everyone should be asking for a bonus regardless of how you identify is the point, and we all deserve them when we work hard. Cool, and then for the they, them, or prefer not to say category, we see the average salary plus bonus is $160K and average base salary at $152 with a size of 8 respondents. So I have a less than 1 year to 3 years of experience, and we see that the average salaries here are he, him, 90K, she, her 85K, they, them, or prefer not to say at 167K, which is interesting. And then they kind of follow a similar pattern throughout. So yeah, you'll see that at the 10 plus years, we have he, him at 168K and she, her at 157, they, them, or prefer not to say at 188K. So it is actually interesting distribution because it does look like we have this higher for he, him, little lower for she, her, and then, anyway. Cool. Any comments, questions? Cool. And then when we look at the groupings by industry and gender pronoun, for profit, you'll see he, him is at 145K average salary plus bonus. She, her is 131. They, them, or prefer not to say, that group only occurs in the for-profit space from the respondents, and that's at 160K. And then government 104K for he, him, 90 she, her, and then you'll see the same pattern. So yeah, we gotta she, her categories. Gotta ask for some more money. Yeah. Yeah, of course.
For like the last slide, with the data that we're comparing to say, out of the 8 respondents, do you know like roughly how many of those people were architects versus admins?
Do I?
Just because those are some pretty big
think
ones.
so. Yes.
I'm wondering if it's.
Oh, I can run that. Yeah, I can. It's a good point, and I will try to put in a little slide for that before I post this into the group, into the folder on G Drive.
Seeing it broken down by role.
Yeah.
Or
I
like
think.
the top 3 roles or something.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, definitely. Because that is like the other big indicator, one of the major indicators of salary.
Like, I think it'd be really interesting to look at this data, both in terms of like role title and then industry, and using those as the sort of 2 anchor points to see what the discrepancy might be around certifications or gender or any other factors.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really solid point, and maybe it makes me think that these, and this is kind of following just the same pattern we've done for the past decade, but I think it makes me think we should probably have this section like distributed throughout each of the other sections so that we're seeing it kind of at that level every time we're looking at certifications and experience. Cool, well, thanks so much for that discussion and for all those tips. That was super helpful and I think can be really valuable to a lot of people. I included here this additional resources slide. I will add, I'm gonna check to see if there is that California, I'll add to this before I post it, but we have the Mason Frank Career and Hiring Guide, which is now called, used to be called the Mason Frank Salary Survey 2, I think. We also have a link to the archive for these Colorado salary surveys, as well as, I think I need to update that link title, but Salesforce Talent Ecosystem Report. So thank you again, everyone, so much for coming. And for the feedback too. We always want to hear feedback too about what is the most useful data for you all. And I think that breaking out those gender pronouns into different, more descriptive and discrete data points will be helpful.
What do you think about asking about whether or not you got a raise the previous year and like reporting out what typical raises were for the calendar year?
Yes, we actually do. There are some questions that we don't have slides for. I think we do ask about that, but I can add a slide for that. I think what we should do this year is like kind of maybe revisit how we're representing the data a little bit. We do want to make it so that it can be comparative year over year, but there's some data points that I do want to add in, so that's a good call out because I do think we have that data at least for the last 2 years.
It would be cool to see the company names, like an optional, you can say, oh, like optional, I work at this company. You don't have to put it for anonymity, but it would be cool to see what's a list of the companies that Lauren works at because I'm all about those metrics. So.
Yeah, we could do something where it's like you end the survey and then it's technically a separate survey where you enter company data, company name, and do like, what is idea things called? Thought bubbles, yeah.
You ask it if you're on a solo team or if you're part of a larger development team. I feel like there could be there too.
Yeah, we do ask that. Yeah, we do ask that. Yeah, I can see if that has any meaningful trends. Yeah. Cool.
Thank you so much for coming out and making the 2023 salary survey a success. We will be sending out
I'll probably do it realistically by the end of the week because I do want to add a couple more things.
So we'll be sending out the slide deck by the end of the week, and then there's also a link to the archives. So yeah, look forward to that, and be sure to use those slides in your negotiations. All right, thank you so much.